Hi everybody, it's Ian again. I'm here with the second screencast of this series to show you how to actually use the editor and create the actual exhibit that we did in the previous one. So we have our nonsensical one here that I should probably just delete. Let's just show how to do that right now. You go into the edit, then you go to exhibit info, and then you just go down to delete exhibit, since this one is just nonsense. Delete exhibit. Okay, so we're back to one that at least has a proper look and has, English words on it. So let's see about how to actually create this with content. So I go into edit mode. See the footprints and everything, that just shows it's loading. It's actually been fairly important to have that loading screen because as we load this up with content, it might take a couple seconds to load the screen, and we want to make sure that nobody gets confused in which they start clicking on things while it's still loading up everything. Now, here we have the canvas. Here's the info that we were just at. This is the name and description and picture and all that. You can add photo credits if you want. And then here's the actual meat of the exhibit. So the exhibit is built of a couple different widgets, which are just little mini programs we drag in. There's title, text, a single image, which takes up the whole screen, a gallery, which is for multiple images, and there's many different ways to display them. There's embedding a URL. There are lots of options for this. Everything from videos, so YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook video, Twitter video. You just drop a URL into it. It also supports Google Maps, so you can have both Google Maps and Google Street View, and you can walk around and things. It also supports Wikipedia. Basically, anytime you want to bring in an external URL. A question is one of two things. It's either a quiz or a survey. A survey has no right answer. It's just to get opinion as people read an exhibit and see where their mind's at and see how people are reacting. And a quiz is just that. It has a right answer, it has several wrong answers, and it will show both how many people have gotten it right. We'll get to that. Timelines are interactive timelines where you can go left and right and view different things throughout it. During this exhibit, we're actually going to skip this because it's a fairly complicated one, and we will come back to it in a later screencast. Divider is just basically a little thing to put in between all these widgets so that you've got a separator, and comments you just usually put at the bottom. It's for Facebook comments. At some point, we'll probably bring in our own commenting system, but for now, Facebook comments seems to be ideal. So let's get started. Now, the most important widget that people don't really know about is the title widget. The title widget is sort of maybe even misnamed. I was thinking of calling it either a title widget or a section header, something like that, because it doesn't just have a title. It actually also acts as a menu item. So when you add a title and put some information into it, it will actually create a menu item that allows you to jump places, and it will create a URL that allows you to jump to this particular section of it. So first of all, we have, I just called it Amazing Fondant. There are a couple different things you can edit. You can have multi-line titles. If I highlight it, we can make it bold. We can make it unbold. I guess it initially comes bold and in large header. We can have it small header, big header. So let's keep it large, bold. We can put it italics if we want. We could put a subheading, really yummy, and throw that under there. I could make that smaller, italics, underline. I sometimes do that. But for the purposes of this, let's just leave it out. Just have a single title here. Now, the next thing we want to have is maybe some text. The text is a lot more versatile than you might think. I'm going to just grab some text I have already set. This was, again, from Wikipedia. It's just a bunch of Wikipedia text that I had taken earlier. Now, let's see what we can do in terms of formatting it, though. So you've seen this thing. When you double-click on a word, you get this formatting menu. You've got bold, italics, underline, link, unordered list, ordered list, quote, block quote, and something very cool called a SoundCite, which we will get to in a minute. But let's start with first giving it a little bit of style. Now, this only appears if I click on the very first word of a paragraph. I get an additional option here, drop caps, which will look like that while it's in edit mode. You can still edit it. You can do whatever you want. But if you notice, as soon as I step out, we get that, which is very stylish looking. It sort of gives it a little bit of a classy feel to it. Let's say maybe I want to put this in bold. And let's try putting leavening into italics. Just this is for no particular reason. Suppose this is a quote. I can put it into a quote. Let's try the first quote style. Isn't that cute? Now for fun, let's add a picture. There are 3 ways in total that you can add pictures in Virmuze. You can add it within the text. You can add it on its own as an image that takes up the whole section. Or you can add it as a gallery. But let's just do it this way. So we get a little plus symbol. When the plus symbol, you've got both pictures or video. So let's just take a picture and boom. Let's put that on the other side. So using these alignment icons, I put it on this side. I can give it a caption, a gender reveal cake. And another little fun thing I can do is I have this slider on the right where I can make it bigger or smaller. I can make it take up half the page if I want. So now let's make it, I don't know, that big. Now there's one more really neat thing. This is one of the highlights, I think, of Virmuze. A company called Nightlab makes this great product called SoundCites that allows you to make audio as part of a word. And we've created this interface to allow you to do it really easily from within Virmuze. So all I have to do is highlight this French word that I don't know if people know how to pronounce. Click the little play button, add SoundCite, and I get choose file to insert a SoundCite. So I can either choose a file and upload like an MP3 or an M4A. I think it even supports OGG, or I can just record. So let's try saying fondre. 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 That was very loud. And here we have it. Fondre. And that's embedded right inside the text. Let's add another widget. We've done title, we've done text. Let's add a gallery. And here we have the different styles of the gallery. Basically, this is if you wanted a list. So these are the photos on top of each other. This is a grid, like a normal gallery you'd see on something like Facebook. And this is a carousel. This is like a slideshow. This is simply showing how the alignment is. The text is on the left, the text is below it, or the text is on the right. So let's just grab a bunch of images that I've got here. As you can see, while it's still uploading the images, you get this little dinosaur feet walking, the Virmuze logo. Okay, it's finished uploading them all now. So let's add some comments. We can say, this is a Cadillac cake. This is a suitcase cake from the 1940s. We already used this for the banner at the top, so I'm going to remove it. That's a whiskey cake. And, I feel like this is possibly protected by copyright. So I'm going to just make a note of that. This is possibly protected by copyright. This is possibly protected by copyright. Yeah, I'm hilarious. And let's just call it that for the gallery for now. And let's try adding a full-size image. And I'm going to remove this guy too, because I'm going to use that for the full-size image. Now there's another very cool thing that you can do here with Virmuze. You can add parallax. Parallax is basically where the image moves at a different speed than the actual front of the page. It sounds kind of weird if you're not used to it. I will simply just show you when we actually look at the page. So you can have it slow or fast. So that's just the speed at which it scrolls relative to the web page. Basically, when it's at 0, this will be not moving while the rest of the web page moves. It's very neat looking. So let's try and add a question. I'm going to bring in another title. Actually, I'm even going to put a divider in between. So there we have a little divider. I'm going to say quiz time. And then we're going to add a question. And we're going to make it a quiz. Now, the difference is, as you can see, it's just with quizzes, there's a right answer. With surveys, there's not. So let's see what answers we can add. And there we have 3 fun answers. Let's throw in another divider. Now, one of the things I'd mentioned before is how cool the embedding ability is. So let's just drag an embed URL in here. And here's one of the really neat things you can do with Virmuze. Let's throw in a YouTube video. Here's a YouTube video of how to make a fondant sculpture. Now, one of the cool things is that with Virmuze, you can add bookmarks. So what I've already done is on another page here, I've got the bookmarks, the actual times set up. So I'm just going to add them right now. So now we have some bookmarks. Again, this will become much more clear once we actually preview it. Another embeddable object. This time, I'm going to use something I found on the site Sketchfab, which is a 3D model of a cake. As you can see, there's a 3D model. If I let it load, you can load it in edit mode. And once it's finished loading, it sharpens, and you can view it. This works as well on a phone, actually. It's very cool on an iPad or a phone because you can just spin it around with your finger. Now, for the last section I'm going to show, I'm going to grab another title. Now, remember, every time I'm grabbing a title, it's a different section. I'm going to call it How is Fondant Made, and I'm going to grab another bit of text. And this time, we're going to add a background image. So there's some more text that I just got off Wikipedia and other places. Now, we're talking about sugar crystals, so just for the fun of it, I'm going to add a picture of some sugar crystals. There you have it. Now the text is white, it has a shadow on it. It's a little bit harder to read right now, so what I can do is one of 2 things. I can change the opacity. I can bring it all the way down until it's completely black. I can make it so the crystals are very visible and it's harder to read. Try and set it somewhere in the middle. This is more just for effect. You would do this for shorter pieces of text. You wouldn't necessarily doing it for such a long one. Another trick you can do as well is just put it all in bold. It makes it a bit easier to read. But it's more for effect. You would do this sort of in the center to try and give it some sort of style amidst all the other text so that there's some an image below it. But let's try the other quote style to change it up a little bit. So by highlighting this stuff, I take this quote here. This was the one you've already seen. And then this is quote style 2. And as you see with an image, it actually puts it on white on black text. And oh, look, there's another bit of French. Let's try and pronounce that. Qu'il mange de la brioche. Qu'il mange de la brioche. Il mange de la brioche. Well, it's a little bit of an echo, but good enough for now. Il mange de la brioche. Now, this is one of the last tricks I'm going to show. This one I really like because it's something that Wikipedia does, is I'm going to highlight Marie Antoinette here, and I'm going to create a link to Marie Antoinette. So now this is linking to Wikipedia. It's not going to do it here in edit mode. It just shows what the link is to. You'll see it in preview mode what it does. And I guess for the last part, there is actually a quote here, so I'm going to put that as a quote as well. I think that's good enough for now. That sort of shows a number of the different effects you can do. We will throw in some comments at the end. So this is just Facebook comments at the bottom of the page. And we're done. Well, we're done making a semi-silly cake exhibit that's not really full of very useful information, but it's a demo. So now we have a couple options here at the bottom. We have discard changes. If I click this, it'll ask me if I want to get rid of it, and it'll reset this to however it was last saved. We don't want that. I can save it as a draft and close, and that will just do exactly that. It will save it, but it won't publish it. It'll still show as a draft, and it won't appear in the museum. I can hit preview, and that will do exactly what it sounds like, but let's just jump right to publish. Now, the first time you publish an exhibit, it wants to confirm that you're happy with the URL, because we don't allow changing the URL of your exhibit simply for Google and indexing reasons. If Google finds your exhibit and it starts becoming relevant in search results, changing the URL is a bad idea, and it will break all the links and your popularity will go down, and we didn't want that. So supposing you are not happy with, you're like, oh, I don't really like this URL. I'm going to go back. It'll take you right to here, and you can change it again. I'm actually quite happy with that. So I'm going to go back to this. It's going to ask me the same question. I hit continue. And now I have a couple more options. I can make it public, which is where it's just easily findable. It'll be visible on Virmuze. It'll be visible on Google. Unlisted means that it's not visible on Virmuze unless you actually send someone the link. And it also is set to not be indexed by Google. But we want it public, and we want to notify users about changes. Anybody who's following this museum, we want them to know there's a new exhibit. We also want to know if we ever edit this, we want those new things that are in the exhibit. You saw how I was dragging and dropping widgets in. Anytime you bring a new widget in, it shows up in a news feed. So we do want that. So let's hit publish. And we have our dinosaur feet.
Here we have it. We have the nice Wonder Woman cake. We have it as a banner. We have the name of the exhibit and a little description. We have the photo credit. We have the title, which is also referenced here. As you can see, we can jump to different things, and it loads instantly. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Here is the drop case. We have italics. We have bold. We have the photo that's embedded. You can click on it. It opens up in a nice light box. As you keep scrolling down, we have a quote. We have the pronunciation of fondre. I'm so proud of that. Here, of course, are all of our cakes. If you hover on them, then you can see the little descriptions. If you click on them, it opens it up in this nice little viewer where you can go left and right in a normal fashion. And there's also this thing at the top, which allows you to jump to different sections of it. Where is my favorite little guy? Here he is.
This is possibly protected by copyright.
I'm hilarious. Okay, keep going. So as we keep scrolling down,
now this is what I was talking about by the parallax scrolling. You have this nice effect here where it scrolls, but you get this sort of cool stationary image in the middle of it all. Now quiz time. What is fondant made of? I'm gonna get it. Oh, it's definitely clay and sugar. And I got it wrong. This was the right answer, and well, 100% of the people have answered this wrong answer. Total answer is 1. You get the idea. Here's YouTube, and here's one of the cool features about this is that I can hit play, obviously, but because I've created these bookmarks, I can jump to them. There it is, detailing the face, creating the skeleton, finishing the clothing. So you can take a YouTube video that's very long and just put your own bookmarks into it and only reference the parts of it that you actually care about. And again, you've seen this now. This is the very cool 3D model, which always fun to play with. And here is the text widget with the background image. So same sort of thing. This is a SoundCite. Oh, you get the idea. And the final cool thing is this is a Wikipedia link, and if you hover on it, it just does what it does on Wikipedia. So you don't actually have to click through. If you click it a second time, it'll open it up in a new tab. But for a short form, it's quite useful. And then at the bottom, we have Facebook comments. Yay, Facebook comments. Oh, I'm not logged in. Okay, so final thing. On the right, you have the name of the museum. So if I click this, it'll take me to the main page of the museum. And then the contents are very cool. As I scroll down, this arrow moves. And all of these things are referencing the titles. So that's why titles are important, because titles allow you to instantly jump to any section of it. Not only that, but titles allow you to also link specific sections that you can send to people. Suppose you want to just send this to a friend. If you hover over here, see there's a little link icon that appears. Click it and paste it into the bar, and it will open up that exhibit. Bam! Only in this section and only loading up the relevant stuff. It hasn't loaded all of the images above it. You see, it'll start trying to load them. So it's very fast. If you jump to a section, it'll only load what's relevant. And then that's it. We've already covered contributors in the previous one, and there are no other exhibits. So thanks for watching this. I hope this was informative, and catch you next time.